I just wanted to do a little yap before I started my real stream today of playing Divine Divinity. So the other day, there was an AMA from Larian Studios. Um, so it it happened at 5 a.m. my time, so I couldn't really be there for it, which sucks because I really wanted to be at the AMA and ask questions. To be fair, they did say the day before when they were gonna be live, but a day's notice is they announced this thing like a month ago that they were gonna be doing an AMA, but whatever. So they definitely were in there answering questions. So I pulled up a bunch of I searched for AI, pulled up a bunch of results. So this one so by the way, Sven says someone asks the team what your favorite and part about making Divinity is and least favorite. Their least favorite part was answering questions about AI. Sven answered one question that I can find. If he answered more than one, egg on my face, but I only saw the one answer. So someone asked him, this is Princeless Pennies. First, I just want to say I love your games. I'm playing Divinity 2, Original Sin, and BG3. They're both fantastic. I'm curious, what is your opinion on the role of generative AI in the game development process, and for your studio in particular? Some studios like Embark and Warhorse, as well as several East Asian ones like Everstone, seem relatively optimistic on it, and they've talked about using it to make bigger and faster games. On the other hand, I think a lot of studios and a lot of gamers think that it predominantly undermines the creative process and cuts corners. I'm especially curious about if there was a split different between sections. If there was a split between different sections, like writing versus code versus art, etc., and seems like the views of and adoption of AI differ quite a bit by the category. Thanks. And then Sven says, happy to enjoy the game. First off, there's not going to be any generative AI art in Divinity. I know there's been a lot of discussion about us using AI tools as part of concept art exploration. We already said that doesn't mean the actual concept art is generated by AI, but we understand the creative confusion. So I kind of want to break it down as we go along here, what is being said, specifically by the team, by anyone who has a underscore Larian in their name. It means that they're part of the team. Also, I have Divine Divinity score in the background if you care. So, okay, his first thing that he says here. I know there's been a lot of discussion about us using AI tools as part of concept art exploration. We already said that doesn't mean the actual concept art is generated by AI, but understand creative confusion. So, what does this mean? What did this mean back when Sven first talked about Gen AI? This is interesting because they're saying that they didn't use AI to generate concept art, which was the big problem that I think we had. Was that I'm not sure if I could maybe even find it real quick. I'm being sneaky with what my screen is because I don't know it's gonna pop up because my algorithm is still attuned to what I used to play on this channel, which means that it's not gonna be very nice if I go in here willy-nilly without at least prefacing what I'm going to be looking up. So I think I have to go to Sven, for starters. Sven's account. Let's see what he says. What he said. We're cross-checking. Holy fuck, guys. Here we go. Holy fuck, guys. That's it. That's what I wanted to see. I explicitly asked about concept art in our use of generative AI. I answered that we use it to explore things. I didn't say we use it to develop concept art. The artists do that. So, is the idea that between this sentence and this sentence, and unfortunately we have to do this because he's not very clear. Despite being tired of answering questions about AI, he really doesn't answer very many questions. So I guess what we can extrapolate here is that they never use Midjourney, ChatGPT, Stable Diffusion, any of those softwares to generate concept art. They never said draw AI generate a knight with yellow heraldry on a grassy field with a lance. And they never type that in to find the reference image or something they were trying to think of. I'm guessing what they did was, because they talk about later about machine learning, which is like a branch of AI, of generative AI, but not really generative AI. Machine learning is like machines recognizing patterns, not generating a mush of images off of established images. So they might have been talking about using. I was explicitly asked about concept art and our use of Gen AI. I answered that we use it to explore things. So, I talked about how we use machine learning here if you want to know more. We use AI tools to explore references. So basically what they did was they didn't, I'm guessing what is, it's hard to know because, you know, that first article dropped. Maybe I should find the article. I'm already opening up more things than I thought I would open up. Is this music too loud? Divine Presence. Banger track, though. Just a bit much. I mean, if I could, I would play, like, what is it, Through the Green Hills or whatever. Like, on loop, but that might get a bit tiresome after a while. That's okay. Swen AI. We have to, this is the best way to probably find it. Maybe. Oh god. I should have thought this sooner. I should have gotten this article sooner. No, I can't find it. I'll have to cut this later. I think I almost found it. Okay, I think I found it. Amazing. Everything's human is running ourselves, but here's often use AI tools to explore ideas, flesh out PowerPoints. The use of generative AI has led some pushback at Larian. So this is, I need to find the article this is pulling from. I need to find the context of this. This is what's important about research. This is what's happening on the fly. Is that you need to like go to the source of what's being said. And unfortunately, people retweeting like a section of an article helps fucking nobody. It's bad. Like you need to post you need to like say what article you pulled it from. You can't just like post a picture and then say, yeah, this is from an article. Crazy, I used to have like this article ready to go. Does anyone in the comments have the article? Does anyone in the comments have the Larian going hard on AI, I think was the phrase that got Bloomberg article. Thank God. It took so long to get here. And it made me pasty white. Oh, I can't even look at the article because it's behind a fucking paywall. Oh my god. Thank God someone posted the full transcript. There's a good person in this world, Mr. Frodo. Unfortunately, it's written, it's like a fucking textbook. You spoke a little bit about generative AI. This is the interviewer, and I know that's been a point of discussion on the team. In terms of generation, like white boxing, yes, there's things, but I'm not 100% sure if you're actually seeing speed ups that much. If you're trying more stuff, having tried stuff out, I don't actually think it accelerates things because there's a lot of hype out there. Haven't seen, oh, this is going to replace things. I haven't seen that yet. I've seen a lot of where you initially get excited, oh, this could be cool, and then when you say, oh, you know, in the end, doesn't really do the thing. Everything is human actors. We're all writing everything ourselves. There's no generated assets that you're going to see in the game. We're trying to use generated assets to accelerate white boxing, but I mean, to be fair, we're talking about basic things that help level designers. So unfortunately, I am technically a game developer, but I make visual novels, so I don't know what the fuck a white boxing is. I've never had to use a game design. Whiteboxing in game design is the crucial early stage of prototyping a level using simple untextured geometric shapes. Okay, so I guess this is saying that they tried it out. They tried it. They tried to white box like an area, and it didn't really help. So they tried it, and they were like, "This kind of sucks." This interviewer asked, "What about concept art?" So that's being used by concept artists. They use it the same like they would use photos. We have 30 concept artists at this point or something like that. So we bought a boutique concept art firm at the moment that everybody was using, reducing them because we were going to use AI. In our case, it just went up. If there's one thing to keep artists keep on asking for is more concept artists, but they do is they use it for exploration. So it depends on the scripter. So the interviewer says the other thing that I've seen that being used for more and more is placeholders like stub dialogue. Sven says, well, yes, so it depends on the scripter. In our case, what we do is white boxing means that the scripts put subtext in there. Some scripters will probably use a chat GPT. Some will write it themselves. It's really up to them. So he's saying that okay, so let's back up here. This is a whole thing. Maybe we should also like open this in a new image so that we can like read it properly. Oh my god, my face is being like whitewashed right now. It's so bad. It's so bad. Unfortunately, I'm covering everything. I don't know how to stop that. Use a concept. So what's being used by concept artists? There's no generative assets. We're trying to use generative assets to accelerate whiteboxing. So that's being used by concept artists. They use it the same like they would use photos. We have 30 artists at this point or something like that. So we bought a boutique concept art firm at the moment. Everybody was using reduce them because they're using AI. Okay, so I guess what he's saying from okay, so what we've been trying to extrapolate, by the way, this whole time, is this first sentence to his answer. So it sounds like what he's saying is using AI tools as part of the concept art exploration could mean using AI to look for concepts and not actually generating concepts. That is the charitable take. The charitable good boy take is they're using AI to look for concepts, not actually using AI to generate concepts. Like using a machine learning tool to identify things is not the same as generating an image from a prompt. It's not. It's that's like using machine learning to identify like commonalities and symbols and pieces. That's not a bad use of it. When you generate, you're wasting all this water, all this energy, and you're committing theft. That's the problem with generating. So we already said that doesn't mean the actual concept art is generated, but we understand creative confusion. Like 17 fucking tabs open trying to figure this out. Where was I? Help me, God. Help me. Where did I start it? Where did I go? Where did I come from? Cotton Eye Joe. Okay, so I mean, okay, so the charitable take is they didn't use it to generate any art. But from this it sounds like he's saying they use it like they would use photos. Everybody was using them because they were going to AI. In our case, it just so basically he's saying that like he was able to buy up a concept art firm because other studios were pushing so hard on AI. They were able to snag a whole bunch of concept artists. But what they do is they use it for exploration. What does this mean? I hate this so much. They use it for exploration. So that so again, it's so vague what it means. Are we generating things to then base concept art off of, or are we using AI to find references? That's so it's the interviewer led with generative AI, and then Sven talked about they tried whiteboxing levels, but it didn't really do anything good for them, so they kind of like don't care about it. There's no assets generated in there. I think they probably talked about maybe. I think this is talking about using AI to sort of like procedurally generate almost an area to figure things out. And And they're also saying that some scripters are using ChatGPT to generate placeholder text, which is stupid because just either, if you're a scripter, either write the text or just say lorem ipsum dolor. Like, just dolum dolor, I don't know. Or just sample text, sample text, sample text. Text where, like, if it gets to release, you can't tell it's there. Sven says, well, in that sense, that speeds it up because your experimentation is broader, but I mean, if it's not as if your dialogues are suddenly being written faster. And on the contrary, it's not as if you're seeing the scripting going fast. What's happening is there's more stuff being done, but I mean, if you've used ChatGPT, helps you organize things, gets you a faster. Interviewer cuts in and says, until it screws up, and Sven says, right, you will still always have to alter it yourself, and I mean, I'm not a native, I'm like non-native English, so it's easier for me to make my phrases without mistakes. So he's saying for him, since he's not native to speaking English, even though his game is released primarily to an English-speaking audience, for him it helps him translate a bit because he doesn't speak English naturally. To write your company emails, the interviewer says. Sven says, no. I mean, I like putting it in there to see, okay, this is a clean version of my text. What's happening is I write with worse grammar now, and then I use it to clean up my text, and then I have to go over it again to clean it up again. I will say, I also do that with Grammarly, which can generate text, but it's also a more like machine learning, a machine learned autocomplete, autocorrect that understands like tone and phrase and grammar more than I can. I think that's okay. If you're not using it to generate actual text, if you type the text and then Grammarly says this could be a bit better if you put a comma here, idiot, you know. And so for him, it's like he doesn't write naturally. Like, he's not a native English speaker, so he probably writes his best his abilities, and then like something akin to a Grammarly or Grammarly probably itself, since it's so big, goes in and cleans up his text. But I feel like my phrases are better. It does kind of teach you a little bit, like since it is like more like an actual hands-on teacher almost. So Sven says, I think experimentation, whiteboxing, some broader whiteboxing, lots and lots of applications and retargeting, cleaning, and editing. These are things that just really take a lot of time, so that allows you to do more. So there's a lot of value there in terms of creative process itself. Helps in doing things, but I haven't seen the acceleration. So I'm really curious to see, because there's all studios that said, oh, it's going to accelerate. If you look at the stage of our video games today, they are still in their infancy. Will they eventually manage to do that at a large scale? I don't know how much data centers they're going to need to be able to do that. Interviewer says it doesn't seem like it's causing more efficiency, so why use it? Sven says this is a tech-driven industry, so you try stuff. You can't afford not to try things, because if somebody finds a golden egg and you're not using it, you're dead in this industry. Interviewer says, so, okay, but the downside, though, is that it's so poisonous, controversial to players, to artists, to creative people in a way that other tech isn't. Maybe Photoshop used to be back in the day. Sven says, I think you would find the same argument back in the day for a lot of things, right? Anything that was automated has always been considered. I think that the part of this job is to make sure that you are competitive and state-of-the-art. So if you don't look at the state of the art, you eventually regret it. That's going to be even worse for the developers. So Sven's saying is that when a new tech, he's been in this industry for like 25 plus years. When a new tech comes out, you have to see how good it is. I do understand that mentality. I will say that with this interview room, like, it is so poisonous to artists and to creative people, and it is controversial. Maybe Photoshop used to be back in the day. So the thing about that is, like, people like to compare generative AI to like the Luddites, you know, and to say like, oh, generative AI is just the Luddites of today. Like, if you're against AI, you're against progress. And they don't like see like all the ramifications of why this thing is bad. And they just say like, oh, it's progress. And it's like, yeah, but it's like not even a good like output, and it's so bad for the environment and for artists. It's like, do you really want to have this be staining your art? So, okay, back to this first response from Sven. Oh my god, it's been 20 minutes on this. We said doesn't actually mean the actual concept art is generated by AI. Okay, So I believing what he has been saying is that some writers can use it, have been, or I think his kind of the stance has been like, you can use it if you want and to help you in like the development stage, but not in the actual final stage. I think he's been pretty clear on that, I would say. um I think you should just write in sample text, but not I mean I think it's less wasteful to just to copy paste lorem ipsum dolem. And then for concept artists, I want to be nice and say they're using a machine learning AI to just, I mean, because how long has the internet been around? How many art books are out there? How many pieces of art are out there? To, find the right piece of art to then use as a mood board. I think it's fun personally to do that myself. I build Pinterest boards for my books and my own things. I find that to be a lot more fun because it's like a very clear, like, this is my influence. I want this, but I also get that like your game's so big. But so okay, that's kind of cleared up. I'd say reading this and then reading this after cross-referencing, I think it's okay. But, so to ensure there is no room for doubt, we've decided to refrain from using Gen AI tools during the concept art development. Sweet. That's good. This is a win. This is really good. That way there can be no discussion about the origin of the art. Yeah, because so part of the problem was, if you're using AI, so part of what we thought was, they're using generative AI to generate references that then the concept artist can draw from. And while you might think, well, it's just the concept art, what's the big idea if they're just generating some references? It's about the intent of the arts and making concept art referencing art that was made with soul and purpose and like purpose and place. So if you copy off of generative AI, I worked with an artist once on a project, and they kind of struggled with backgrounds, and I got this string of 3 backgrounds from them, and I thought to myself, these look more structurally sound, but something's off about it. And then I got the files, and I was looking at the layers, and I saw that they had used generative AI as like the base. So they generated the AI some like the background, and then over it drew like I used that as reference to draw their background. And while like technically it was a more it felt more like an actual background, it also had less soul to it. Without even me knowing it was based off of a Gen AI reference. I could just feel that the soul was gone. I had a talk where I was like, hey, this thing you did. And they're like, oh yeah, I just like, it was hard for me to figure out what to do, so I used like ChatGPT. I think it was a while ago, so I don't think ChatGPT had imaged yet, so they used like, I think it was like Midjourney. And I was like, hey, do you know about the ramifications of AI? And they were like, no. And I was like, oh, well, let me explain. And then they were like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I thought it was like, it could help with like figuring out ideas. And I'm like, yeah, I thought so too when it first came out. But then I learned what I told you, and now I don't use it. And they're like, oh, okay, I won't use it anymore. Cool. I'm hoping that this is what happened here. I don't think it did, but we'll see. We'll see. So that's kind of a case of like why even using it as a reference is bad. Yeah, when I based off of, I think they couldn't find one that fit what I was saying and what they thought it would be, so they used Midjourney. Bad, I know, but thankfully they like listened to reason, which is very nice. That doesn't always happen. A lot of people can sometimes stick their heels in and be like, no, fuck you. I'm using this new technology because I like it. So that was good, but it was still like a moment of like, fuck, had to have this conversation. Having said that, we continuously try to improve the speed with which we can try things out. The more iterations we can do, the better the gameplay is. So this is a very this is a very odd sentence. Because we're talking about, so the biggest sticking point with the whole Larian AI thing was that they were using generative AI in their concept art process, and also apparently making like spreadsheets and stuff. Um, so we're talking about Gen AI art, art, and then all of a sudden he's talking about testing, I believe. Having said that, we continuously try to improve the speed with which we can try things out. Try things out. The more iterations we can do, the better in general the gameplay is. So the gameplay thing is weird. Does he mean like use an AI to test the game? What does he mean here? What is he talking about? Try things out. So, having said that, we continuously try to improve the speed with which we can try things out. This is why it was bad that he did this at 5 in the fucking morning and I couldn't get like a follow up. And he never followed up. Not that I can see. No follow up from Sven. That was his one response here. Other people are responding for him. That's other answers. Other answers. Yeah, that was it. He yeah, it's so vague. It's so vague. Like, what do you mean? Having said that, we continuously try to improve the speed which we try things out. What are you trying out? What do you mean by try things out? The more iterations we can do, the better in general the gameplay is. It makes me think he's talking about using a machine learning tool to test the game, but they're so far from that stage. Like, they can't be at the part where they're testing yet. They cannot be that close. That would be fucking insane if they were close enough that they were testing the game. Because, God, when did, like, Baldur's Gate 3 come out? I'll unfortunately go check my Steam. Let's see. 2023. There's no way a studio making the games they make has a build working enough for the we're testing that we need to be testing with AI. But that's how it reads to me. I wish the AMA wasn't at 5 a.m. I would have been able to ask a question. Improve the speed which we can try things out. I want to know what this means, man. Sven, what are you talking about? Try what out? What are things? What are things? What do you mean by things? Okay. We think Gen AI can help with this, and so we're trying things out across departments. Again, with the things, Sven. They think Gen AI can help with things. What are you talking about? We hope... Okay, our hope is that this can aid us to refine ideas faster, leading to a more focused development cycle, less waste, and ultimately a higher quality game. We think Gen AI can help out with this, and we're trying things out across department. Whenever anyone says I need AI to make my backgrounds, I'm going to immediately think of the ProSpit from now on. Yeah. Could you imagine? Fucking hell. Because, yeah, ProSpite, sorry, I know I said ProSpite as a joke, but ProSpite is really a great example of, like, using, using, like, photo bashing, like, things that already exist into making a new interesting thing that has creative intent. Like, yes, it is, like, that was Hussey, like, taking images of cathedrals and then, like, mirroring them and merging them together and then, like, giving them a really fucking dope filter. But, like, even though it is just pictures of cathedrals slapped together, it has such an intent, such a direct artistic idea that it really makes it, like, more than that, and it makes it really fucking good. Whereas this is just soup. It's just shitty soup. So, okay, we think Gen AI can help with this, so we're trying things out across departments. I want to know what things they're trying. That really tall problem sleuth page in the epilogue was amazing. It was really good. I know I shot on problem sleuth pretty hard, but that one page, well, I think the whole epilogue was pretty well like designed, honestly. But that one page where it was like Koro Observer-esque was very nice. Refine ideas faster. So I'm guessing they're still gonna use ChatGPT to like ask it questions because I don't know how else I can interpret this. I don't know how I can interpret this paragraph. We think Gen AI can help with this, and we're trying out things across departments. Our hope is that it can aid us to refine ideas faster, leading to a more focused development cycle, less waste, and ultimately a higher quality game. The less waste is funny because, again, generative AI can only exist because of waste. It's wasting water, it's wasting electricity, it's harming the planet actively, and it's harming the communities around which the data centers are being built. It's driving up the cost of things, it's fucking everything over. It is waste. So to have less waste in your development cycle, don't use Gen AI for anything. Just don't use it. You need to use it. It's okay. You made so many amazing games prior to this without it. You don't need it. So again, I don't know. Refine ideas faster. I don't know what that means. He doesn't really say, but this is him saying we think Gen AI will be useful. They're not against the idea of Gen AI. Now, they agree that they're not going to use it to generate art assets. Specifically, they talk about Gen AI tools during concept art development. Let's read the final bit and we can make a nice decision. The important bit to note is that we will not generate creative assets that end up in the game without being 100% sure about the origins of the training data and the consent of those who created the data. If we use a Gen AI model to create in-game assets, then it will be trained on data we own. Okay, so this is where we talk about ownership. This is where we talk about how Gen AI ownership works. So to create a generative AI anything, it needs data. It needs data to work. But how do you get that data? All right. For you to go to ChatGPT and say, hey, make me into a Studio Ghibli character, what data does it need? Okay. It needs your image, which you upload to ChatGPT. And then now ChatGPT has your image. It'll take it. It'll use machine learning to identify parts on your face, how you look, your features, your hair, your eyes, your nose, your mouth, the way your chin sets, the way your cheekbones set. If you're like me and you got some fucking like Japanese hard-boiled detective like eyeshadow because you're tired all the time, it'll identify all these things, and then now your image is part of the data set. You've given that up. You put it in there, and then it will take Studio Ghibli, and they have uploaded all their movies. I'm sure they scanned in all their art books, every post by somebody drawing fan art, and they've taken that. They didn't pay for it. They didn't ask for permission. It's not like when you upload your image to ChatGPT and, in the fine text that says, if you upload your image, we're going to fucking take it, and that's part of our data set now. That's on you to read that because you're using a service, and it would be fucked up of them to slip it in, but they probably do. I never used it, so I can't tell you how it works, but they're gonna use your data because they've stolen everything else, so why not steal yours too? But Studio Ghibli never signed off on ChatGPT using their stuff. They just took it without consent, without authorization, without a contract or anything. They took it. And now you can upload your image to ChatGPT, and you could say, I want to look like Princess Mononoke. And it knows what you mean by Princess Mononoke. Okay? So when Sven says, we will not generate creative assets that end up in the game without being 100% sure of the origin of the training data and with the consent of those who created the data. I think he learned one thing from his interview here to now, and that is that the data is stolen. And I think he gets that, and agrees with it. I think he does get the data stealing to a degree. Um, to a degree, he gets it. Not entirely, because he's still talking about finding ways to use it for things. He says try things out twice. um, whatever that means, Sven. Whatever that means, buddy. I love you, buddy. But what does that mean? Um, so if they're gonna generate creative assets, they want to make sure that the data set is pure. How do you make a pure data set? You kind of don't, because all these models work the way they do because everything got stolen. You would have to build your own AI model, which he talks about, from scratch without any other outside influence, and train it specifically off of data that you have permission for, which I'm assuming for them is their entire gaming backlog. I'm sure it's every piece of concept art ever drawn for them from an artist, even if that artist was some guy who was like a contract concept artist in 2000 to work on Divine Divinity, who signed an agreement saying, yeah, okay, you can use my stuff, not knowing that Gen AI would ever be a thing. I'm sure they can use that guy's stuff up till through all their games. Potentially not BG3 because it's Wizards of the Coast, but maybe they will. Who knows? They might technically own the assets, but I don't know. There's a legal thing there because that's a licensed game from a different company. But they can definitely use all the Divinity stuff, 100%. Maybe they would want to because it's the Divinity game they're making. But if they're able to do this and make it so the model hadn't learned anything from anything outside of their own stuff, which again, we'd have to kind of trust them because they could lie. We have to trust them on it. We'd still have then there's the question of, well, where's the data center kept? Are they going to build their own data center that maybe runs on like green technology? Is it like their own locally sourced, cool data center with like a good energy system on keeping it cool and running it, and that doesn't like waste the water that ChatGPT, Midjourney, Stable Diffusion wastes, Sora, what they waste when they generate anything? We have to hope. We don't know. Because this AMA was at 5 in the morning. And only people who lived in like fucking Sweden were able to ask questions. Or if you lived in like New York. Fuck us, Seattle, Los Angeles people. Our old coast, fuck them. Also, live in Hawaii, really go fuck yourself. Like, you definitely had no chances to ask any questions. Any Japanese people in the audience? Asian? No, fuck you, because it would have been like. No, maybe if you stayed up late. Never mind. It's really fuck Hawaii and Seattle. But yeah, what I'm saying is like they ran this for like 3 hours at like 5 a.m. Because I woke up at like 7:45 that day, and I was like in the bathroom, and I open my phone, and I see like, hey, the AMA is almost over, and I'm like, it's not even 8 in the morning. Anyway, so they say that if they're ever going to use creative assets in the game, they're going to generate it with their own model that they'll make, which feels like a fuck ton of work when you can just like keep doing what you've been doing and like just make the game normally without this bullshit that like wastes water and energy and steals from artists. But because they're saying that they'll make sure the origins are make sure the origins are good, right? We want to hope they can do that. So they will not. Okay, now this is the really funny part. The important bit to note is that we will not generate creative assets. Okay, so if you're not generating creative assets, what is not a creative asset and what is a creative asset to you? Because you think that Gen AI will help with things. When you're making a game, isn't the whole fucking thing creative? Isn't everything a creative asset in a video game? Isn't that like the whole point? Now maybe you're using machine learning to like, I don't know, like I guess like figuring out like schedules and like automating payroll. Maybe. But then like I'd rather you have an HR person. I don't know, like what do you mean? Like, what is and is not a creative asset? What do you count as a creative asset? Because what does this mean to you, Sven? Because for me, in my games, even the code I would count as a creative asset. That the coders and the programmers are also artists. That's their art. Their art is code. Their art is making code. Their art is turning like phrases and numbers into a fucking video game you can play. Their code is the art. It is the game. It's the gameplay. It's the cinematics. It's the menus. It's everything. Is the art. Is creative. So what is a non-creative asset? What do they count? Are they counting code? Because I know people have been talking about code a lot in the replies to these things, and it's like coding is still art in a way. Like I've coded and I've made my own games. It is its own art form. I don't. So even though Sven answered one question, which was very exhausting, by the way, he hated answering all those questions about AI the one time he did it. Who's to say what he actually feels? Who's to say? We don't know. We really. So we know that they won't generate concept art. We don't know if they're not going to use AI or not to scrape for existing concept art to make references. We don't know what this means. But we know that no art will be generated for the concept art development. That's good. Notice he never mentioned anything about placeholder text or PowerPoints or anything like that. The only thing he says is like, don't worry, guys, no AI in PowerPoints. However, we're going to use generative AI to do things. Whatever that is. Other Larian devs talked. Other Larian devs mentioned AI. Let's go over them. This is less like build up, obviously, because Sven is like the head of the studio. He's the game director. He was the one who was like, holy fuck, guys. Still one of the best tweets of all time. Holy fuck, guys. So again, he keeps talking about things, man. I answer that we use it to explore things. We use AI tools to explore references, just like with Google and art books. So yeah, from what this means that they used AI to search. It was a more like refined search tool. I don't know how refined it was because AI fucks up all the time. Literally, ask it anything, it'll fuck up and lie to you, and like gaslight you. Let's see here. In the replies of this one, she even says this. I'm guessing she because this like image. Sorry. This user responds, "Good to hear about the decision, but does this new stance only apply in concept art?" Again, even like I'm confused. This person's confused. It seems like they only say, "Don't worry, guys. Concept art is not Gen AI." But anything else counts as things. In the case of writing, remember there was a mention of using Gen AI to make placeholder text. How does this benefit development over, say, just a simple stub text? And the case of the generated content is considered as good enough to be there, as in final, or at least heavily influencing the final writing. How can it be claimed that there won't be any AI-generated content in Divinity? In comes Adam, who is the... This song is too much. What is this? Battle? We're not fighting. After the Great... That sounds fine. Adam is the writing director. The stance applies to writing as well. I'm happy there's clarification. We don't have any text generation touching our dialogues, journal entries, or other writing in Divinity. To answer your second question, how does generative placeholder text benefit development over simple stub text? It doesn't. Amazing. We had a limited group experimenting with tools to generate text, but the result hit a 3 to 10 at best, and those tools are for research purposes, not for use in Divinity. Even my worst first drafts, and there are a lot of them, are at least a 4 out of 10, although Sven might disagree. Aw, cute. They're so cute. Oh my god, they're so quirky here at Larian Studios. And the amount of iteration required to get even individual lines to the quality we want is enormous. From the initial stub to the line we record and ship, there are many eyes and hands involved in getting that dialogue right. So this is them to say basically what they said. What Sven was talking about when he mentioned they used it for placeholder text is that the writing director and the team did a test to generate text, and they basically said it sucks. Um, it's worse than their first drafts. We hated it. We're not using it. This kind of goes into line with his interview where he talks about how like it's important to try new technology in this industry. Um, I argue that you should do research before you try technology, or before you even implement it in your game. So I'll talk about my own experience for a moment here. When Stable Diffusion Midjourney first came out, after it got past that one website where it was like you generate like 6 images and they all kind of sucked, and when it got like okay in comparison anyway, I tried it for an afternoon, and then as I was trying it, I was like, this feels so wrong. I don't know how they're making these images. I feel weird using it for real. I'm not gonna use it for a while, and I want to see how this tech develops. Because especially at the time, was very poor, and writing books, I couldn't really afford artists, especially concept artists. I was like, I want to be able to see my characters, see my world. This new technology just came out. I could use this to envision my world properly. I used it for a night and I said, kind of weird. Let's see what's going on. And then I did research soon after and realized, oh, it's all stolen. And then a year later, I was like, oh, it wastes water and energy. Cool. So even on top of the stealing, it also is a huge environmental disaster. And I get that they want to be like forward thinking in the industry, but you also got to like do some research about like the ramifications of what you're doing and take a stand, especially when the industry and especially the consumers are so vocal about the hatred of it, because it is stolen work, because it is wasting energy, because it is harming the environment. People who are pro AI like to imagine that anti AI people, anti Gen AI people, because again, machine learning is whatever. It's really generative AI. The people who are pro generative AI think that the anti generative AI people just hate it because we're told to hate it, and that's it. When there is reasons, this is not like we're not making shit up for fun. There's reasons to hate AI, and we say them all the time, but they don't have to listen to us, which is very annoying. So this is good. I mean, it's bad that they like used it at all, but it's as long as they're like, it sucks, we're not using it. That's one thing. Because I saw a person on Twitter today. Let me find it. This was actually really fucking funny. Can I find that Gen AI game removed? Please tell me. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. This was amazing. So this game on Steam called Hardest got removed. And they basically said that like when they made it, they were in college, they made it over a summer, they used AI. But then so they said the game will be deleted at 30.1. I made this game during the summer in a couple of months and thought to use AI because in university there's so much brainwashing on students and all the tools are given for free, so I could generate unlimited images for free. And so I will say I've talked to some people I know some people who are in like college right now, and they are always talking about how like they are being pushed to use generative AI, which is so disheartening. And they're like talking to the professors like, can we not? It's bad. They're like, oh, it's the future. But I've realized that the AI is not actually free, and it has a major effect on the economy and environment. Some AI companies can use this game just existing as a reason to get more investment for their AI companies that benefit no one, but rather suck resources from the economy from hardworking people. I coded everything myself so that I can in the future make a new game with real assets if I feel like it, but the game existing in its current form is a disgrace to all game makers and players. Ethically only logical reason is to delete the game from Steam. The girl I've been dating for a month, have you realized this? Thank you, Arrow Lane. That is great. That's amazing. We love to see that. All it takes is love. All it takes is love to make you understand. This this is the shit, right? Like this developer was told and was under the assumption that AI was fine. It's free. Look how useful it is. And then like was given the facts and then was like, "Oh shit." And then made a change and decided to, use this new information to become a better person. I applaud this. Anti-Gen AI people like to also be like, well, if Larian came out and said they won't use it, you're still going to hate them anyway because they used it at all. Some people probably will because some people are fucking stupid. And they will if as soon as they hear something that they don't like, you are that forever. And there's nothing you can do to fix it. Nothing you can ever do or say that will make you not be bad anymore. Which is dumb because we're all people and we all learn and grow based on new information. Hopefully. It's bad when you don't learn and grow off of new information that is like logical, makes sense, has sources, yada yada. So like it's that you want to be afraid of. But like I think if you make a mistake publicly like this and you own up to it, you should be given a fucking party. Like you should be applauded. Um and it should not be used against you ever. It should be like, yeah, you will learn. That's good. That's great, actually. That's what we want. That's what it is to be human, is to have an experience and then I mean to be dorky, have a character arc. Like character arcs are because we as humans grow and change and evolve over time as well. Um so this is what we want is learning how bad it is, owning up to it. What was I talking about? Yeah, so that's kind of what happened to Larian, I would say. They tried it, wasn't great, wasn't great. Oh, this is their machine learning director. They have a machine learning director. Jesus Christ. Well, I'm not sure what he does. That's interesting. You have a machine learning director? Mother of God. Machine learning director. What do you do? What do you even do there? Gabriel? What is your job? Look at me, I'm so funny while I mock people that are rightly upset about the use of a tool that is the greatest art theft in history of humanity. Honestly, I don't know why you have a -51, but I mean, you get one from me, buddy. Because also, Sven didn't even answer that many questions. He answered one question. Anyway, this other. All right, Jesus, this is taking. I thought it was gonna be like 20 minutes. It's been almost an hour. User says, "Hey, pretty big fan of your games here, and was disheartened to hear the discourse and statements about AI usage and development for this project. Any chance you can lay out how exactly this is being implemented, alongside how exactly it makes the development of the game smoother compared to the games that didn't make use of it by your studio? Larian games normally feel lovingly handcrafted by a team of artists. Why was the previous method of development wrong enough to step into the discourse?" Um, oh, this is their machine learning director. "This is all new technology, so I totally understand why it's difficult to see where the positive uses are. We believe machine learning is a powerful tool to accelerate and make game development more efficient and streamlined." How? "This means that our creatives have more time doing the work that makes their jobs more rewarding and the game a richer experience. But what are you doing? The important bit to note is that we do not generate creative. They have like a thing that they're told to say here. We do not generate creative assets that end up in a game without being 100% sure about the origins of the trading data and the consent of those who created the data." So again, unless you make your own generative AI image generation or model generator or whatever you're doing to generate, you have to make it completely isolated without anything else, and you only can upload data that you have the rights to make it. You can't just use Midjourney. You can't just like use an established generative AI tool. You have to make your own from scratch. There's no way you can generate with any creative assets, whatever that means, without it being stolen work, because artists aren't agreeing. So all art is being stolen and uploaded, even their own games. Their own games art, their own games music, their own games like writing, acting, every part of it is been scraped and uploaded. Anyway, with over 100,000 voice lines scheduled to be in the game, recorded by hundreds of actors, and even hundreds, thousands more to be recorded that will not end up in the game, there are useful tools for us to reduce the mechanical legwork and free. My cat's stepping in front of the thing. I'm so sorry. He didn't say that, I did. And free up time for teams that would be bogged down doing tasks that kept them away from what they really want to be doing. Additionally, our machine learning research and development team monitors and experiments with anything that is state of the art, and that might influence game development pipelines of the future. This is important to us because we make our own engine. But we draw lines in the sand too. We explicitly committed in our actor agreements not to use the line recordings to train or build AI voice modelers, because we are aware of how sensitive it can be to artificially generate actors' voice. Yeah, because it's like really fucking shitty and scummy and wastes energy. Even if the actors were willing to agree to this, we'd compensate them. We don't currently feel comfortable with including any AI generated voices in our games. Okay. Okay. So what do you mean by that? Also, is the music stopped? What's happening here? I know this song just has like a minute of dead air at the end of it. Come on, guys. Don't do this to me. Is that the last song? There we go. So he kind of talks for a long time and doesn't really say a lot of anything. Did AI write this? I'm kidding. With over 100,000 voice lines scheduled to be in the game, recorded by hundreds of actors, and even 100,000 more to be recorded that will not end up in the game, there are useful tools for us to reduce the mechanical legwork and free up time for teams that would be bogged down in doing tasks, cut them away from what they really want to be doing. So I'm assuming what this means is they're going to be using machine learning to I'm guessing so that a voice line with the certain tag can be automated to go to the right character it needs to go to, instead of someone sitting there for months ensuring that every voice line goes to every correct character. So I'm guessing like if you write down, let's just say like you know, John Larian underscore VA0001, right? And then when you do the voice recording artist, when they're getting the audio, can tag that as John Larian underscore 0001. And then the machine learning can do the connection for you and not having you have to go through and do that yourself. Potentially, or even like maybe they do it so that it like, I'm guessing because they just say the mechanical legwork, creative assets, things. They're so unclear when this whole AMA started because we were all pissed about the Gen AI. And then Sven answers one question, he's giga vague. And then this guy's answering questions and he's being vague. So what was the fucking point of the AMA if you're gonna be vague and do it at 5 in the morning so nobody has a chance to get their fucking questions in? And you don't even answer questions in the first place that are about AI. So what does mechanical legwork mean? I'm guessing it means like attaching lines to their correct like characters. Or even like taking a recording session that's like a 2-hour recording session of an actor talking, and then using an AI to select the takes so that you can review the takes later. Maybe. I don't know, because he just says mechanical legwork. What does mechanical legwork mean? Gabriel? What does it mean? What are creative assets? And they experiment with stuff that could be useful. Okay. But we draw the line in the sand. Okay, and then they go on to say that they're not going to have any AI voice modelers. I know that someone at Warhorse, who made Kingdom Come Deliverance, said that they thought it would be cool in a future game to use generative AI to have characters like say, like it'd be cool if in an RPG they use generative AI to have the characters call out your name. Like if you type in your own name into the created character, and then the characters could call you by your name by building up, like it would, like all the lines would stay the same, but they'd be able to like change it to say your name based on the model they built off of your voice. And the thing is, even if an actor were willing to agree to this, we'd compensate them. So this is odd because they're saying we're not going to do this. But if someone asked them, they would pay them. But why would you pay them if you're not going to do it? Why would you say we would compensate them if you don't intend on having AI generated content in your game? Why would you even add this? I'm gonna let my cat out of my room. Give me a So yeah, so why would you say this if you don't mean to do it? Right? You're saying like if an actor were willing, you'd compensate them. But we don't currently feel comfortable including an AI generated voices in our game. The text really should be, even if an actor were willing to agree to this, we don't currently feel comfortable with including an AI generated voices in our game. But we'd compensate them and currently makes it sound like they are willing to do this in the future. Which would suck. Because it'd be an awful AI voice that has no soul to it. I mean, yeah, even if you compensated the actor, but like, then why have actors, man? Why bother in the first place? It's just really silly. It just feels like it sounds like they would really love to have more Gen AI, but the pushback has made them trepidatious on going as hard in as they want to go in on it. Because you have the fucking machine learning director over here saying random bullshit. Like, we do mechanical legwork, and we don't generate creative assets, and also we would compensate an actor if they wanted their voices AI. But we're not doing that right now. Currently, it just feels like they really want to do it. You know what I mean? It sounds like it sounds like he really wants to, because like currently sounds like we're leaving the door open for it happening in the future. Now, am I nitpicking? Yes. But they were only answering questions for 3 hours at 5 in the morning, and they didn't even answer a lot of questions in the first place. So we kind of only have like a small sample pool of shit they've said to figure out what they mean when they say we're not using AI. Because it sounds like they're using some machine learning to do mechanical legwork, whatever that means. But they're not going to generate creative. They're not going to generate creative assets. Whatever it is they consider to be creative assets. What's their definition? We don't know. They don't define it. They say that the actor agreement has no training or building AI voice modelers, but currently, he answers another question. I just wish that somebody, perhaps the head of machine learning director, would explain step by step a way that it was used. So far, all you guys give is there is 100,000 audio files, and with AI, something reduced legwork. Thank God someone was pissed off as I am. How? How does generative AI reduce legwork? Use an example. Change the IP names to Billy and Bobby, just something specific and not PR, please. This person gets an internet cookie. So then here's Gabriel. He actually responds, which is crazy. After he kind of like gave shit, understandably. This guy's understandably sassy. A good example would be retargeting and cleaning animations. When we record lines, we record audio, video, motion capture at the same time. That data needs to be converted into actual animation data, joint data in a 3D space over time. for one of our species or rigs if you want more be more specific. So for instance, if an actor is playing a character that is a dwarf, their animation needs to be adjusted to accommodate the physics of that race, shorter, wider, etc. This was traditionally done by hand by animators, one animation at a time. This is a very repetitive and boring work. Machine learning, both generative and non-generative, is able to help in that process by creating a first version of those retargeted animations that, although not perfect usually, is a much better starting point for animators to work from. Sometimes the motion capture data contains errors, may be cleaned up. Machine learning can also help in that. Using machine learning to help out here frees more time for animators to work on more creative and interesting pieces of work. Okay, so what's funny is that he gives an example of voices. Okay, he gives a voice example and says we use tools to reduce mechanical legwork. And then the guy is like, okay, give an example of that. And then Gabriel talks about motion capture, which is not voices. It's motion capture. It's nice that there's an example of how machine learning is utilized at Larian Studios, but it's weird to start your example with voices, get asked to give a more specific answer, and the person even calls out voices, and then you talk about models and motion capture. Motion capture. It's nice to know this makes sense if, like, machine learning just takes, like, me acting normally and then squats me, makes me into a dwarf, and then someone else goes in and they, like, make sure it looks good. It's kind of like in Premiere where, like, you want to do a mask, and so you do, like, the initial mask, and then, like, you have it play through the keyframes, and then, like, you can, like, go back through individually and then do the adjustments, so you don't want to have to, like, frame by frame by frame adjust the mask around you. So I get like wanting to, like, cut down on the menial boring work and then refine it, because I'm sure if you take a actor who's like me, and I'm small, and then make them into like a fantasy dwarf, and then you have like a better base to work from to then make the animations look better. It's just odd that he pivoted to that and not to voices when, like, it was clear that, like, the whole thing was talking about, like, no, trust me, we're not going to AI train our voices currently. Maybe we will, please, ooh, and then, like, talks about something else entirely. This person, I'll read their final thing. Thank you for our specific answer with examples. I would say that there is a big gulf between this example, which I think sounds like a genuine automation, and the stuff that is talked about nowadays with generative AI, and probably if nothing else, better discussion internally about the distinction would help Sven answering his least favorite questions. I believe there is basically a conspiracy, perhaps just a survival of the fittest rhetorical push, where the grifters win because the grift works, to make it confusing for a layperson to know what the difference is between mind-numbing, creative-sapping, art-stealing diffusion generation and more normal computer automation. So being very clear about what is or is not being used would help with all the backlash. This person fucking gets it. This is what has really been so weird about this whole thing, is Sven's unwillingness to be specific. And to be so obtusely vague to talk about creative assets and things. Like, we want to know what you are doing. It matters to the player base, not to everybody. Maybe not. If you're honestly, if you are cool with this, you probably haven't gotten to this point. You've probably watched the first 2 minutes and already written a comment about how I suck or something. But for everyone else who's here, we care about how the sausage is made. We care about how you're using generative AI. Is it generative AI? Is it machine learning? We want to know because, hey, Sven himself has said, English not first language. It's okay, man. Listen, we're trying to figure it out. Okay, you're not a native English speaker. It's cool. I can barely speak English myself, and I've been here for 30 years. So I get it. I get it. It's just we need examples like this. We need this. We need to know what you are doing. It cannot be just saying mechanical legwork, creative assets, things, stuff, ideas, exploration. We need to know because we obviously care, because it's a very pressing issue that people have ad nauseum probably sent to these people, and they probably haven't read it all because there's so much of it. Okay, this person asks, I understand there's been a lot of discussion around the pushing hard for generative AI stuff. It was said that it was being used for concept art and then for PowerPoint presentations, etc. So it would be helpful to maybe elucidate what that means exactly. Damn, elucidate. And how you are using it inside your studio and how it really affects the new Divinity game. Gerald, their art director, pops in. Our team is incredibly creative and we use any visual means we can to communicate ideas across different departments and teams. They are not final products, they are mood boards, doodles, combinations of text and images. Gen AI based imagery was part of that, but by far not the only thing. It was just part of a mix of things we did to get a certain level of understanding of complex matters. Right. There's also Gen AI based tools that helped us render things faster, i.e., lighting, filling textures, which helped with presentation. But as said, we don't want there to be any doubt about origins of artwork, nor do we want disrespect to other people's authorship. We decided to refrain from using these tools during the concepting phase. So the art director basically came out and said they used Gen AI based imagery as part of their discussions on what they were going to do, right? Like the planning stages. Now, saying Gen AI based imagery does not outright mean that they were generating the images. Technically. Technically doesn't. They I mean it's happened before where like I talk to artists and I'm like they're like, hey, give me references for what you want here. And I'll always say like if I accidentally send you AI, I'm so sorry. But I will try not to. And I have a pretty good eye on catching Gen AI, so I don't normally do that anymore. But I've developed it. It's been a thing I've been developing. Um, but I will say like, hey, if I accidentally do it, I'm so sorry. Ignore that one. I'll try to find something better. Um, so because before they've said they used Gen AI to find references, but this sounds like maybe they've either found Gen AI references or generated images themselves, which would have sucked, but they have said they're not going to do that anymore. So even if they did, they're not anymore, which is good. This is good. This is a good thing. This is a positive. There were also Gen AI based tools that helped us with rendering things faster, lighting, filling textures, which helped with presentation. Um, I would have to look more into this, but I mean, the basis of Gen AI is generating based on things that you don't own, and the generation process wastes water and energy and electricity and power and drives up the prices of RAM and hurts communities and I'm guessing that generating a environment in a game is probably not resource light if I had to guess. So I hope they don't do this because they say during the concepting phase they will not be using these tools anymore, and this is the concepting phase. It's still a bit vague, and they kind of do admit to using Gen AI, but like they're saying that anymore, which is good. Really good to know, and I appreciate the reply. I'm a huge learning. Blah, blah, blah. I know how AI can help a lot when it comes to certain tasks. I'm happy here wasn't used for concepting. It was though, actually. He did admit that. But during other phases outside of concept, yeah, honestly, 3 hours ago. Sorry, buddy, they're not gonna get back to you. But I understand going through this and coming to that conclusion because they don't really say anything. Because saying you won't use Gen AI tools during the concepting phase is great, but I want you to say we will never use Gen AI tools for any part of the process at all anymore ever again. We're so sorry. That's all we want to think. But they clearly do want to use it. The machine learning director is optimistic about using AI voices at some point. And I'm sorry, that's how I'm going to read this because it's weird that they say that they'd compensate artists and they don't currently want to use it yet, though. And then we have Sven talking about they're going to use AI to help out with things. So crazy that you just say the word things. We're almost done, I promise. How does the art team feel about the usage of AI? Can they walk us through the process more specifically? And if it has been helping in efficiency, will it remain a part of the developmental process? Don't know why anyone thumbs this down. Anyway, now an art director is coming in, Elena. I can't speak for everybody. We have a very diverse international team, and each person has their own opinion on the matter. But in terms of production, we don't use AI to generate art assets. Thank you, not just in creative assets for once. We see AI as a potential tool to optimize certain workflows. Like what? For example, thank God, it used the motion capture. Ah, no, you've already said that. Used for motion capture, data cleanup, or retargeting animations from the actors or performance capture, as already mentioned in the AMA. Then use a new example. We want different examples. Why would you use another example that we already said? Give us a new example, please. Why is it why reuse the motion capture example? You're the art director. Don't you know the other ways that can optimize certain workflows? Which one? Which is it? Just the one? Is it just to resize dwarves and lizard people? Like, what else do you do with it? I want to know. Just tell me. Just tell me. Just say the words. Sorry, I'm crashing out, but like, oh my god, like, I'm getting to the end of these questions. They've not said anything. We don't want to use AI to make game assets, generate models, or even base models to sculpt on top of, because those assets would never meet the quality bar we are setting for art and divinity. This is good, because earlier they mentioned using AI to help with presentation, lighting, filling textures. And they also mentioned it to be used to white box. So coming out and saying that they're not going to use generative AI to model, to texture, they won't sculpt on top of an AI generated model. This is all good. This is good. This was dumb. Why would you just repeat what the other guy said? We've also decided to stop using any AI in concept art as reference material, so there's no ambiguity about the nature of our art assets. That said, having any generative concept art in the game was never our intention either. So it's good that the art director is saying this. So I'm guessing she is. So sorry. Such a bad woke. Such a bad non-binary. We've also decided to stop using AI in concept art as reference material. So this sounds like they in gathering concept art, potentially through an AI looking for concept art, they got AI generated concept. They got AI generated concept art and used it as reference material, but now they're not. There is never any generated concept art being used for the game, which makes me think that they never generated any concept art, meaning it was going to be concept art, or they never generated any art to be used for reference. I'm hoping it's that, but I mean, even if they did, they're saying they're not going to do it anymore. This is good. This is good. Final thing. Can you describe how exactly you use generative AI for game design? The concept art statement was rather vague, and I want to know how it improves productivity over, say, a Google image search. Okay, now we have Nick, the head of design. When we talk about game design, the rules of the game, character progression, loot, combat, encounters, level layout, and so on, there is no Gen AI used. Designers are not going to ChatGPT to ask, generate me 10 spell ideas. Frankly, we always have more ideas we can cram into the game. This really doesn't answer anything. Let me start from the top after drinking some Gatorade. Can you describe how exactly you use generative AI for game design? The concept art statement was rather vague, and I want to know how it improves productivity over, say, a Google image search. So this person's asking about the concept art thing, which honestly was answered by this person, an art director. But now the head of design comes in, probably because they said game design. When we talk about game design, the rules for a game, there's no Gen AI used. Okay, so there's no generative AI used for game design, which is character progression, loot, combat encounters, level layouts, and so on. Designers are not going to ChatGPT to ask to generate, so they're not going to AI and asking for ideas, which is really good. I was a little worried about that because of the way it was sort of phrased. But it's good to outright say no, we're not doing that. But again, so I guess now we're getting to the end of this here. I didn't get to play any Divinity, which sucks because it took up my whole afternoon. But that's fine. This is good to talk about. It's good to get off my chest and put a lid on this. So, in summary, there is no generative AI models, no generative AI assets, no generative AI art, no generative AI voices yet in the game. No writing is going to be generative AI. It's all going to be human made. They will use generative AI, machine learning, whatever, for things and trying things. So I'm still upset with Larian Studios. And I'm upset with Larian Studios because it seems like they answered some good questions about AI and also left a lot of questions on the table. Something that was so polarizing that for me it was like a whole day and a half where I was just online, and honestly, I mean it's part of the Twitter like Twitter gets you sucked into like getting upset thing. I was just on Twitter, I was on the Discord, and I was just seeing everyone talking about it, and it was so like disheartening. Everyone was so upset. Everyone was so betrayed because Larry and Sven had made it seem like they were this studio that was like above, and they were like for artists and for players and cared about the industry. So to see them like come out and say, yeah, but we're using like generative AI for stuff, which is famously and very widely documented as being awful. It hurt. Um, I was hurt because I mean, so many studios are moving this direction. I mean, you have Warhorse, who is like defending it, and I love Kingdom Come Deliverance. Um, I didn't get a chance to play 2 yet because I was busy, but I wanted to play it. But now I'm trepidatious about playing it. Uh, you know, Expedition 33 used generative AI and didn't disclose it when they released their game on Steam. Um, fucking Psy Games, who makes Umusume Pretty Derby, which is a game I've played every day since the global launch, came out and saying they're opening up a generative AI game studio, which, Jesus Christ, so disheartening. But I always expected Larian to be like not that because they always seemed like they were like the indie studio that made it making big RPGs and really learned from 20ish years of like never being number one but still working at it and finally getting to be number one. Because I grew up with like Divine Divinity, um, and was always like, man, why does no one know about Divine Divinity? Everyone knows about Baldur's Gate, Diablo, other stuff, but no one talks about Divine Divinity, man. I would tell people about it, but like, what's that? And I'm like, oh, it's this like CRPG, it's this action like RPG from like the early 2000s, and like it's fucking beautiful. It's great music, good combat, it's really hard. Everyone's like, I don't know what I'm about. And I'm like, Diablo? I'm like, Diablo, Baldur's Gate, Icewind Dale, Landscape Torment. And I'm like, but Divine Divinity is right there, guys. Come on. Um, so seeing them go from like eighth fiddle to taking over the RPG genre in a way, and having them be like, yeah, we did it because we cared about our employees. We made a game we cared about. We're gonna care about people, and then to come out and say, oh, but Gen AI is bad. Like it's not defendable, and if you do defend it, you're just not reading the facts. I'm so sorry to be like blunt about that, but like I've done enough research to know what I'm talking about. It's not an opinion that someone just gave to me. But if you want someone to give you an opinion about it, you should watch Ace Rolla's video about AI. He really succinctly breaks down like every talking point that I've come up with on my own, but does it way better than I could ever say it because they're smarter than me. But that's a really good video if you want like a video to tell you what's going on. But honestly, still do your own research, and you'll see how it's ruining environments, ruining communities, ruining people's lives. Um, and the thing about it too is like it's people and like pro Gen AI people love to say, yeah, but other stuff's bad too. Didn't you know that other stuff is bad? Don't you like drive your car to work? Don't you like eat meat? Don't you do this? Don't you do that? Which is really funny because like first of all, I don't drive my car to work. I take public transit because I care about the environment. I make sure I buy my food locally from a local non-chain grocery store that gets food from farmers, local farmers, because I give a fuck about the environment. I do the most that I can do given my location and my budget. Not everyone can do that. If you're super, super poor, like I have been, okay, the $1 McDonald's value menu is gonna have to be where you get your food. Like you're gonna have to scrape and buy and do what you can. You have to buy the shitty, awful coffee from Dollar Tree that has like twigs in it, and I could still taste it in my mouth like 10 years later. It was so bad. Um, but you do what you can because the industries are already built. They're already sunken in, and they've already infected everything. Okay, um, it's good to fight those. Just because I'm talking about generative AI does not mean I don't care about other things. I care about multiple problems at once, but the reason why I'm such a stickler and I'm so vocal about generative AI is because it's new. This monster is an infant. We can just crush it. We can just kill it. Okay? Other monsters like the food industry, the car industry, the electronics industry, all these other industries that are so bad are fully grown monsters and we need the whole party to kill it. AI, generative AI, is a level like 3 monster at this point. We can just fucking kill it and stop it. Okay? We can just get rid of it. So I care about multiple things. Other stuff is also bad too. Other stuff that we do as people are bad. It hopefully we're all good. We try to be good people and do what we can to mitigate our impact on the environment. But because of the way the industries have grown, they've made it hard for you to not use their industry. Because I don't drive and take public transit, it's hard for me to get things sometimes. So every few months, I'll unfortunately have to log into fucking Amazon and get something because nowhere locally can I get it. And then you try to go through manufacturers and they just link you to Amazon. You can't even buy from them anymore. That's how big the monopoly has grown. You can't buy stuff directly from manufacturers, from vendors. You have to go through Amazon. Are you going to buy something? Amazon link. Even though you want to just buy it from them, you'd give them the money. I'm willing to spend extra shipping to get it from the fucking manufacturer. But no, go to Amazon. So it's hard to fight the system when the system is so huge. But generative AI is not that huge is not that huge yet. It's brand new. So let's get rid of it now before it really is in everything. Before it really has completely taken over and there's no going back. Not to mention, I say generative AI bad, and someone says, but other stuff is bad too. And it's like, okay, you want more bad stuff? You want extra bad things? The amount of bad stuff we already have was not enough for you. You want more bad stuff to add on to that? Like, there's no acceptable amount of bad stuff. But, like, again, this is a new thing we can get rid of now, okay? By being loud, by being informed, by voting with our wallet on decisions and on products and on legislation and everything, right? Like, don't buy a game that uses generative AI, even if it's a little bit. And the reason why you don't even use it, you don't buy it, even if it's a little bit, is because you want to make a statement. And the statement is, I don't want any amount of shit in my spaghetti. Now, food is a fun analogy because I think you don't like visualize what I'm saying here. And I know I repeat it a lot, but I think it works. If a chef brings you your spaghetti, puts it in front of you, it looks great, and the chef says, wait, it also has Gen AI. And they fucking just like take like a spoon of poop and just garnish that shit. Do you still want to eat the spaghetti, or is there shit in your spaghetti now? It doesn't matter if like over here is really good. Oh, the soundtrack's good. Oh, it's okay. The character acting is good. Oh, like the but there's shit. There's garbage. There's trash. The whole thing is fucked. That's what generative AI does. Because it says to you, the player, we didn't care to hire an artist. We didn't care about the environment. We didn't care about the impact that this has on the environment, on the people who live near data centers, on the people affected by the data scrapers. So if you use generative AI and if you aren't remorseful about it and you don't learn from that experience, it just says to me you don't care. It's one thing to not know and to participate in generative AI. A part of me has a little bit of slack for Sandfall Expedition 33 because apparently what happened was they 3 years ago when Midjourney and all that stuff was first coming out, they tried it to make some assets in the opening, on like a newspaper, and then they were like, it's whatever, and then didn't use it ever again. But then it just got left there because it's been so long, and then they're now like, oh, we don't like generative AI, it's bad. That's good. That's a good like move. Okay, to go from we tried it to we're now more informed now when it's bad. That's what pisses me off about this whole Larian situation is that like the internet exploded when they said they used the generative AI. And they didn't come out and disavow it. They said, we'll see you in 3 weeks. Well, first they said, holy fuck, guys. And then they said, we'll see you in 3 weeks. And then when they came back, they said, that one specific thing you were upset about, we're not using it for that. But we're going to use it for other things, whatever they are. Mechanical legwork, trying things, not making creative assets. They're still being so vague. So for me as a consumer, I'm still unsure if I want to play Divinity. Okay, I want to play it. But will I buy it? I don't know. At this point, I'm still really unsure about their use of generative AI because they're deliberately being obtuse about what they do with it. They have not said they've said what they're not going to use it for, but they've also been vague about what they won't use it for. They won't use it to generate creative assets. What constitutes a non-creative asset? They said they're going to use it for their workflow, to try things, to do the mechanical legwork. But they've not been clear on what that actually means. They've given one example, and that's it. It's a big game, lots of things in there. I'm sure you're not just using it for the one thing. Maybe they're just using it to resize dwarfs and lizards, and trolls and ogres. Maybe that's it. But it sounds like they have more examples that they're not willing to share with us. It sounds like they're keeping secrets close to their chest. Which sounds like when you go to a restaurant and you say, hey, what's the ingredient? And they say, we use things and stuff. It's just stuff in there. Don't worry about it. And it's like, I want to know what I'm consuming. I want to know what I'm paying for. I want to know what I'm buying. I want to know what you're going to give me. And if you're going to give me generative AI, you're going to give me shit. Even if it's a little bit. 1%, 0.001%. I don't want it. I don't want the diarrhea in my spaghetti. So, yeah, that's the wrap up. I'm upset. I think that they should have done better and answered questions more thoroughly. They should have answered more questions about AI. It sounds like they didn't want to answer AI questions, even though that's what spurred this whole AMA in the first place. Sven was tired of answering AI questions, even though he answered one, but he was tired of it. That was a hard one question, where he said things twice. He said trying things twice, and then didn't elaborate whatsoever at all. At 5 in the fucking morning, so that a good portion of his 5 a.m. on like a Friday too. It was like a Friday. It was like Friday morning, 5 a.m. Like, I don't got work. I don't gotta go to work. And I get that they're based in like Sweden or whatever, but like, you have to get that like your audience has been waiting like 3 weeks for this AMA. They have a lot of questions, and you only answer them for 3 hours. I've done longer Q&As from my like tiny fucking web show that no one cared about. You're like one of the biggest RPGs on the scene. You're one of the biggest companies making RPGs. You're the most anticipated RPG next to like Elder Scrolls 6. You can't spend more than 3 hours answering questions for the people who live on the East Coast, West Coast. I do internal math there. Because for them they said it was like 2 p.m. Let me double check. 2 p.m. CET. Now I'm assuming CET, Central European Time Zone. So for them, they started the broadcast at 2 p.m. and ended it at 5 p.m. Now I get that you guys probably work 9 to 5. I understand. Um, Maybe for this thing that you've been that we've been waiting 3 weeks for to answer some really important questions about the ethical development of your game that people have called into question. You might want to spend more than 3 hours and give people like more than like, no chance to talk to you, and then actually maybe answer the questions when you get them, because other people asked questions about AI. They didn't answer them. I know they didn't answer my question because I came in like I think with like 10 minutes left and asked a question. Didn't get any answers. I'm looking at other questions too. Um, it's just like I found another one where they basically just talk about the modeling again, the character performance again. That's amazing. Um, it's so funny. Anywho, yeah, I feel like they just really didn't want to talk about it, and they kind of just like gave the bare minimum of an answer, and it really sucks. I'm disappointed. It is disappointing to see, but hopefully there's more answers along the way. As we get further into development, if we just keep kicking up a fuss, I think there will be more answers to come. But as for now, they've kind of stonewalled us, and that's kind of all we can really. That's all we can really do. Anyway, that's all for today. Thank you all so much for being here with me for this hour and 40-minute discussion about AI. I was gonna play Divinity, but this took up my whole time. But oh boy, yeah. Thank you all so much, and I hope we keep the conversation going about AI. It's really important to have these conversations because it's not just people screaming at the internet, being upset for no reason. There's reasons for this. There's reasons why I'm a ghost. We're so upset. It's not for internet brownie points or just because it's cool. It's because there's actual environmental concerns, and it's such a new technology that if we stamp it out now, we don't have to worry about it. We can just move on. Like me, I'm gonna move on. So this is kind of all we're gonna be at for now. I'm gonna try not to talk about this problem for a while anymore because there's really nothing more to say. This is sort of the big what I want to talk about. I just hope that they maybe over time they do once tempers have cooled. I'm hoping they can look back at this and do more research and kind of get that it's not a good tool to use. It's a tool built on theft and destruction. It's the best way to put it. That's all I got for today. As always, stay awesome out there. And don't use Gen AI. Do the fucking work yourself. I see you fucking teenagers on Twitter talking about, ooh, how did you guys write a 500-word essay back when you were in school without ChatGPT? You're fucking weak. And you will not survive the winter.